Welcome back, YouTube. My name is Dennis Panuta for tutorials.eu. Welcome to the fifth chapter. In this chapter, we are going to look at control structures, and it's going to be part 2, where we are going to look at loops and other great stuff. So let's go ahead and start with a while loop. What does a while loop do? Well, so far we had code that only was executed once. So we had this code and it was executed line by line. Now we can use something called a loop, which will rerun a specific piece of code multiple times based on certain conditions. So let's have a look at that. Let's create a counter variable. Let's set it to 0 and then create a while loop. And in order to create a while loop, you need to use this keyword called while. And then you need your condition, which has to be true for the while loop to run, and at one point this condition has to find an ending so that we don't get an infinite loop. So a good example for such a condition would be counter less than 10, and then we need a colon after that condition, or after this counter less than 10 in this example. So now indentedly we need to go ahead and add our code block that we want to execute as long as this while loop is running. So let's say I want to print the counter value onto my console. If I would do that, if I would execute this code here, I'd get an infinite loop and my program would crash. So I need to add a line of code which takes care of this statement here, which is currently true because 0 is less than 10, to at one point not be true anymore. And how we can do that is, for example, we can say counter is equal to counter plus 1. What that will do is it will increase the value of counter each time that this line of code is executed. Let's just execute this code and see what's going on. There we are. It's printed onto our screen and we have 0 to 9 printed on it. Why 0 to 9? Well, we are checking in the first time that we run this first iteration, we are checking, is counter less than 10? And as 0 is less than 10, this is true. What it does, it executes the whole code that is part of the while loop body. And in this case, the while loop body is everything that is indented within the while loop. So here, this line here is indented and that line here is indented as well. So let's see an example where a line would not be indented. So this one would be hello world as example. Let's run that. As you can see, it's not indented. That's why this line of code is only executed after the while loop is done. If I, for example, indent that code and run it, you can see hello world is printed every single time. So this statement here is taken as part of the while loop. So you have to be very careful with your indentation or with your indenting. All right, so we had the first execution, right? First iteration of the code. Then it's printed on the console, we see 0. And then the counter is increased by 1. So the variable counter is 1 at the next iteration. So we check again, is 1 less than 10? If that is true, then go ahead and run my code. And in fact, 1 is less than 10, so let's go ahead and run the code. So the next time it's 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth. Then at one point it's 9, so we check, is 9 less than 10? Yes, that is true. All right, so please execute the code. So print counter and then increase counter by 1. So now counter will be 10. In the next iteration, counter will be 10. So we check, is 10 less than 10? And that statement is false, which means that this while loop finds an end. So it stops executing and we go to the next line of code. And in this case, it's the print statement here. All right, so that's a while loop, just one example. And as I said, this has to be a statement that can be true or has to be true at one point and has to be false at another point if we want to execute the while loop. And we will see multiple examples using while loops, not just with counters, but other ones as well. And we are also going to check out other loops. And in the next video, we're going to check out the for loop. So see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like And if you have any questions or suggestions, then leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And by the way, if you really love the content and you would like to have more of it, or pretty much all of it, then of course check out the link in the description to my whole course. See you in the next video.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.